Hi guys, how are you today? I am coming at you with a couple of math problems that we are going to be solving today. So the first math problem that we're going to be solving today is a graphing problem. The second problem we are going to be solving is a word problem. This is a multi-step word problem, so you're going to have to hang in there with me. I know you guys are smart and we're going to get through it. So what I want to do first is I want to read my first problem. So it says, the pictograph below shows the number of each kind of pizza Jenny made for a large party. Down here we see our entire graph with the type of pizza and the number of pizzas made represented by a circle. Down here I see that I have my key. Now if you know anything about pictographs, you know that pictographs always have a key. My key tells me that each circle is equal to 3 pizzas. So I know that this isn't just 5 cheese pizzas. I know that this is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 pizzas because each of these circles is equivalent to 3 whole pizzas. So I can represent this with an equation of 3 times 5. I know that 3 times 5 is 15. So I have 15 total pizzas. For pepperoni, I have 3 groups of 3. So I would write 3 times 3 is 9. This one would be 3 groups of 2, which is 6, and 3 groups of 1, or 1 group of 3, which is equal to 3. So now that I have my totals down, why is it important for me to find the totals first before I continue to solve the rest of the problem? Right, because if I had the totals down already, I know exactly how to answer each of the problems. I don't have to go back and remember how I found the total or multiply it again. I have the answers already written down, so it's easy for me to answer any question that would be given to me, such as which has the most number of pizzas, which has the least, or what is the difference between cheese and sausage pizzas? What is the different number of pizzas? So it's easier to find our answers. Now, the question that we're trying to answer today is how many pizzas did Jenny make all together? So we're trying to figure out the total number of pizzas for this party. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up each of my totals and put them all together. So I'm going to add 15 plus 9 plus 6 plus 3. Now, these 4 digits are a lot, okay? In order to make it easier on myself, I'm going to find some numbers that I can know that I can add easily together. My doubles, my multiples, when I add them up, they equal 10, things like that. So I know that 6 plus 3 is equal to 9. If I put that 9 there, then I need to bring down all the rest of my numbers. Okay, now I have 3 digits to work with. That's a little bit easier, but I think that I can simplify this even more. So I know that 9 plus 9 is equal to 18. Again, I'm just going to bring my 15 down because he's still there. He's still hanging out. Now, if I'm adding 15 plus 18, here's where I can't really simplify it too much more. So I'm going to bring this equation up here so that I have a clean space to work with. And I'm going to break this apart into my tens and 1 to make it a little bit easier to add together. So I know that 5 plus 8 is equal to 13. Okay? And I know that 10 plus 10 is equal to 20. Now this is a much easier number for me to add up all together. So I know that 20 plus 10 is 30. And then I have 3 ones. So Jenny made 33 pizzas for her party. Good job. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to move down to our word problem, okay? Now, like I said earlier, this is a multi-step word problem, so we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to put our investigation hats on so that we can figure out all the steps needed to solve this problem. So what I have first is I have a word problem. It doesn't look very complicated, but once we read more into it, you'll see where it gets a little bit tricky. So this word problem says, Aaliyah reads 20 pages a night for 7 nights. Before I go any further, is there any important information that I have in that first sentence that I might need to put brackets around? Right, I'm going to put a bracket around 20 pages a night for 7 total nights. By putting brackets around these two numbers, I know that it's important information and that when I'm asked my final problem and what I need to do for this question, I know exactly where my numbers are and the information is in the word problem. This book has 546 pages. All right, stop again. This is my second sentence. So I know that it has 546 pages. I'm going to write the word total above it because I need to know that this is the total number of pages. How many pages does she have left to read at the end of the week? I'm going to underline left at the end of the week. So what we're trying to find is we're trying to find the total number of pages that is left for her to read by the end of the week. We know how many pages she reads a night for how many nights, for 1 week. So we can determine how many pages she's read so far. We also know the total number of pages in the book, so we can take that number and find the remaining number of pages left in the book to complete it. So let's start with our first step. Our first step is figuring out how many pages she's read already. So if I look at my problem, I see that she has read 20 pages a night for 7 nights. Now, this would be the same as saying that she had 7 groups of 20 because each night is a group and she read 20 pages a night. So if I was to write this out, I could write 20, 20, 20, okay, I could write out 27 times. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups, right? So I have 7 groups of 20. Now, skip counting by 20s is very similar to skip counting by 2s. Okay, we know this because it follows a very similar pattern. So I want you to count with me as we count by 20. 20, 40, 60, 80, what comes next? 100, 120, 140, right. So she has read 140 pages so far, okay? We need to keep this number in mind as we continue to solve the problem because that's going to be an important number for us to remember, okay? Now that we have our first step done, we need to sew our second step. We know how many pages she's read so far in her book, and what we're going to do now is we're going to determine how many pages she has left at the end of the week. So how many pages she has left at the end of the week. What I'm asking myself right now is, how many pages were there in the book? That's right, there were 546 pages in the book already. Now, we know that she had 546 pages total to read, but how many did she read? Correct, she read 140 pages, so she no longer has those pages to read. So our equation is going to be 546 take away 140. Okay, if I'm doing subtraction, I know that I'm going to use my number line. I know some of you guys struggle with the number line, but it is the easiest strategy for me to use. So I want you guys to use whatever strategy makes the most sense to you, but I'm going to use my number line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it all down. I'm going to make it nice and big so I have enough room to write. My little number goes at the beginning, my small number, and my larger number goes at the front. I'm going to be jumping up to my larger number, okay? So I'm already at an even number at 140, which makes jumping to my next friendly number so much easier. Usually I would jump to my 10 first and then to my nearest 100, but since we're already at an even number for our tens, we're going to jump to our closest 100. Now our closest 100 is going to be 200. So how many tens do we need to jump from 140 to 200? How many more tens do we need to get up to 200? Right, we need 6 tens or 60. So if we add 60 to 140, we would get to 200. Now that I'm at 200, I need to find the 100 in my number. The 100 in the number I'm trying to jump up to is 500. So I need to figure out how many hundreds do I need to add to 200 to get up to 500. That's right, I'm going to add 3 hundreds. Now we're almost there. How many more do I need to get from 500 to 546? Right, I'm going to add 46 more to get to my total number. Now I can either break that apart into 40 plus 6, or I can just add the total number. I feel confident enough in my math skills that I'm just going to add the whole 46 to my number line. Now that I'm at my total, my next step is going to be adding up all of my numbers all together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my jumps and I'm going to add them up together. So I know that I have 300 plus 60 plus 46. Now I'm going to do the same thing that I did up here, but I have a little bit less space, so you're going to have to hold on for a second. So I know that 60 plus 40 gets me to 100. So I know that I can combine these two numbers to make it easier for me to add. So my equation would become 300 plus 106. Now, is this a much easier equation for me to continue to add? Of course. So if I have 300 plus 100, that gives me 400. I don't have any tens to add up, and I have 6 ones. So I don't have any tens, and I have 6 ones. So Aaliyah has 406 pages left to read. All right, great job, guys. You have done a fantastic job today. I hope this has helped you in solving problems that include graphing, as well as two-step word problems. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to me on our Google Classroom, and I hope to see you guys soon.